Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of my Blood Elf Warlock Let's Play series, where at the end of last episode we arrived in the Ghostlands, and I forgot to set my Hearthstone here to tranquilly in the main town here, so let's go ahead and do just that. So when we go off and do some quests, we can easily return here in the future, where we currently have 2 quests to do here, where I was expecting some more, and I just got the title Swabby off the selling, which I think is from Thunderstorm. Alright, let's go ahead and come over to Sun Crown Village, where we can fight some Nerubus guards, and then we also have this quest to go help Ranger Valana. So let's go ahead and do just that. Where Sun Crown Village is like the first kind of like big area that we will be fighting a bunch of undead in this map, where we have been fighting like some plagued creatures at the very end of last episode right over near this bridge. But we can go ahead and come up to this town that we saw earlier, which is kind of like a ruined elven town that has a ton of cobwebs, and we can see a dying blood elf on the ground right here. So let's go ahead and interact with him, where it does not seem like there is much of a future for this poor individual, but we can go ahead and slay a Noxutin, where she wanders around Sun Crown Village. So we have a big boss around here that we can go ahead and keep an eye out, where it recommends 2 players fight this boss, where we are by ourselves, and we should be fine in defeating this boss, but maybe it'll be a little bit of a challenge for us, which should be fun. But we have some Nerubians around here, which are always fun enemies to fight. I always thought they were like super cool fighting them originally in like the Eastern Plaguelands and like vanilla World of Warcraft, where it's just fun to kind of see these like spider creatures who we interacted with in like Warcraft 3, and we have like the whole like War of the Spider thing, to where their leader, Anubarak, eventually gets killed by Arthas and is risen as one of his most powerful soldiers and leaders, where I see another powerful leader over there, a Noxutin, where I should maybe create a health stone and a soul stone. That would probably be a smart choice for a S. There's cataclysm time walking going on. Let's go ahead and loot this. And then maybe let's clear out this guard first. So let's go ahead and cast a few shadow bolts this way, because I think I saw the boss wandering around. There he is. So let's just clear this path here. And then there's another guard over there. This guy might go towards that building, so let's go ahead and take care of this one really quickly, where I do have a decent amount of inventory space, which is nice. And apparently I have unspent talent points that we can look at in a moment, where he is indeed going towards that building. So maybe let's just wait here for a second, because he's probably going to walk in and then walk out. That's my guess, because that's what he did over at the other building. But maybe he'll take a little bit longer, where of course Ghostlands is filled to the brim with the Scourge, and it's going to be fun fighting a bunch of Scourge minions all around this map, where he's walking out this way. So let's come up with a game plan. We can maybe do let's move this here. We can do Shadow Bolt, Corruption, Curse of Weakness. Maybe we could call in Dreadstalker, so let's put that at 4. So, and then we can just cast a bunch of Shadow Bolts. Let's send in our Voidwalker, send in Shadow Bolt, Corruption, and now let's summon the Dreadstalkers. This Nerubus guard is probably going to attack us as well, but that will be okay. Or maybe we're fine. And now we're just going to cast a ton of Shadow Bolts. Let's go ahead and cast Corruption again, because it wore off there. And then we got a proc there that just dealt a ton of damage, and we can use it again here. So we just blew up this Nerubus guard as well, and that went pretty well. This was an elite enemy, and I recommended we have 2 players, but our Voidwalker is basically another player as far as we're concerned. Right now we just need to kill 3 more Nerubus guards. So this shouldn't be too big of an issue, where we can basically call Dreadstalkers off cooldown, where there's like an 8-second gap, where they're around here for like 12 seconds, but the cooldown is 20 seconds. So it feels kind of like a weird ability, where you just have to like constantly keep casting this ability to have Dreadstalkers with you. And maybe it's good when you're like fighting like an enemy. I'm not sure how like the rotation would work necessarily, if you want to use this off cooldown, if it's even a worthwhile skill, but they are like pretty fun to use, so I think it's like worthwhile in the meantime. Where we have now completed these 2 quests, so we can return to Tranquillion, which I think is probably what we want to do. But since we are over here, let's go ahead and go on a major tangent now, where we are going to have a quest here that I have some memories of, and I think it's going to eventually send us further into the map, where I don't really have any set plans right now for what I want to do. Where let's go ahead and come this way, where we are going to get attacked by a few of these ghosts, which I know there is a quest to fight these, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave the quest away for now, because I don't think we can pick it up currently, and I think I would rather do this quest right now. Whereas I was saying, I don't really have any plans for how I want to approach the zone, and I'm just going to complete quest after quest after quest, where this quest is to kill some of the trolls of Zebsora, where we were fighting trolls down here by Torwatha and the other areas right here, where we now have these Shadow Pine Rippers and Witches and whatnot, where we are getting closer and closer to the capital city of the Amani Empire, where these are the forest trolls of the Amani, and we are just fighting a wide variety of them up and down this river right now, where this river ends here, but there are more troll camps along here, and then we can see the dungeon of Zuomon located right here, where I think Quel'Thalas probably goes further to the east. And it's going to be interesting to see with the upcoming Midnight's expansion for World of Warcraft, the next expansion after the War Within, where we are returning to these zones that we are exploring right now, where we are returning to Quel'Thalas. And it's going to be interesting to see how they approach these zones in the future, because we have the Owl Quodanis, but we mostly have Eversong Woods, and we have the Ghostlands, and they are pretty small compared to the zones that are introduced into the game nowadays, where we have a lot of more mechanics with like dragon riding and stuff that just requires the zones to be much bigger. And it's going to be interesting to see how they approach these zones and how they're going to design it in the future to take like 18-20 years or whatever of World of Warcraft design philosophy into play, where we are probably going to see some, potentially you could call it retcons, where we have the Twilight Highlands over here, where in the original vanilla World of Warcraft, this entire like section of the Twilight Highlands right here did not exist on the world map. And then when Cataclysm rolled around and they introduced the Twilight Highlands here, they just said there's actually landmass here, and it's just like a basic retcon that's like not too big of an issue. Some people like took issue with it because it's like a retcon. Gilneas looks different than how it looked in vanilla. Even going into the first expansion, Quel'Thalas looked different than how it looked in vanilla, and they changed it up for the Burning Crusade. So I feel like it's very likely that we are going to see it changed up again, where I would not be surprised to see it coming out to like here maybe, and they could add like maybe like 2 more zones or something right there, but maybe that's only enough space for like 2 total zones out of like the 4 potential smaller zones. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they approach this. Where another thing going on is how they may incorporate Northern Lordaeron into that expansion, where we are returning to Quel'Thalas, and we are probably going to see the Owl Quodanis there too, but we may see zones like north of the Thandospan be a part of this expansion, where this entire area gets overhauled, where we see a lot of stuff going on with Lordaeron in the Terrasval Glades here and there throughout World of Warcraft expansions, especially in the Battle for Azeroth expansion. And in the recent Dragonflight expansion, we see the Alliance, and specifically the Ghanaians, reclaim Ghanaius from the, I guess it's technically the Scarlet Crusade that they occupied there, but people found that weird. But they have reclaimed Ghanaius for themselves. So we may see like Silvermead City become a Horde capital city, and Ghanaius become an Alliance capital city, and then maybe the Undercity will like play some part and all of that. And then we may see zones like around the Arathi Highlands, which recently got updated in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, but Eastern Plaguelands, Western Plaguelands, we could have Hillsbrad and Otrak stuff, and the Hinterlands. We might just see them using some of those areas as well in that expansion. So it's kind of fun to run through like Eversong Woods and the Ghostlands to see how it is in the Burning Crusade, and it's really fun to predict how these areas are going to change in the future, because it's going to be after all the stories that we experience here in this Let's Play series, as well as the occasional story that takes place here in the future, where there's like a story that goes on very close to here, predominantly in that building right over there, which is not really connected to anything going on in the story here in this map, but it's related to the Void Elves, which is an allied race that became available for the Alliance, and it just builds upon the story of the Void that we see throughout World of Warcraft's history. So there's a lot of things that have happened in these zones and in this part of the world, and it's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate everything and how they change everything and revamp and revitalize this area of the world to fit an entire expansion instead of just being the starting experience, the level 1 through 20 experience for Blood Elves, where we're probably going to be like level 30 by the time we leave this place, but back in the day it was level 1 through 20, and then you would typically go on to like Hellsbred Foothills or over towards Ashenvale. Let's go ahead and use our health funnel ability, because our Void Walker almost died there, which is unfortunate, but he's still alive, so I guess that's fortunate for us. And we only need 2 more Zebsora Troll ears, so this is kind of a quest that takes a decently long time to complete, but I don't think it's really ever anything too annoying, where it is kind of fun to just like come to this camp and kill a bunch of trolls, especially since the trolls are so hostile. But it'll be interesting to see how like the Troll Empire expands in the Midnight's expansion as well. And something I wanted for a very long time is a troll or a forest troll playable race, where I would really love like full support for all the different types of trolls around Azeroth, where we see the introduction of the Zandalari in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, where they look different than your typical Darkspear trolls. And the Darkspear trolls do have like customization options to look like frost trolls and like some other types of trolls, but it would be cool to see like a full Fraki model, and it'd be cool to see a full like jungle troll model, and a full, well, I guess the Darkspear are jungle trolls, so, but a full forest troll model, and a full like ice troll or snow troll or whatever they're called model. And I think it would just be fun to play as them in the world, specifically in like the vanilla version of the game. I feel like having that customization option would be kind of fun for like a future potential Classic Plus. I wouldn't want it in like normal vanilla in like Classic era and whatnot, but it would be fun to see how they expand upon that in like a Classic Plus. Where speaking of that, it would be interesting to see how they expand on this area in a potential Classic Plus, because they could go down like a deviation of the World of Warcraft timeline, where after vanilla everything goes different, where maybe the Blood Elves join the Alliance and maybe they are like friendly towards the Alliance and like don't like the Horde or whatever, and then we can explore these lands but as vanilla content. I think that would be like a really interesting thing to go on. I would be really interested to see like High Elves as the Alliance and like Classic Plus, but then we have the Blood Elf storyline with Warcraft 3, so that wouldn't work out very well here. But we have completed this quest, so now we can go to the Far Strider Enclave, where we can report to Captain Helios. But I think I'm going to go ahead and actually go this way, where let's go ahead and use our Hearthstone, because I believe our Hearthstone only has a 15-minute cooldown, so we can probably use it again in this episode before we end this episode, where, oh, it's a 30-minute cooldown, but the same thing applies. We can probably use it again in this episode. But we can go down there to turn in this quest, but let's go ahead and turn in these 2 quests first. And I'm really interested to see where we go from here, because I don't really remember. Where maybe we need to be friendly in order to get quests here, where we are now friendly. And no new quests, but we did get Vandrel's hand-me-down pants, which are blue quality pants, and they have very good stats, so let's go ahead and equip that. And then Suncrown Village, where there we go, I reached level 19, and we just got the Golden Mist Village quest to go all the way over here. And now that we have completed this quest, all of these quests are available for us now. and there are a lot. So let's go ahead and pick this up, and then we got a new summon ability, but let's go ahead and pick up Culinary Crunch. We have a wanted poster here, or suggested for 3 players, but we can try our best. I think there's a quest up here. I think that person gives us a quest, I guess, in the future. But then we can come over here this way, where we have a Forsaken Apothecary right here, where we can get Plagued Murloc Spines. How delightful. We have this Death Stalker down the Dead Scar, where we can kill some more undead. This Magister, where we can get some mana essences, and we have Dame Offavarius. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but we can go ahead and fight some of the Sentinel spies. And there's another quest right here from this Death Stalker. I almost missed it, but we can kill some gnolls. So now we have a lot of quests to do, and currently they are mostly in the northwestern area of this map. So I think maybe let's go find Tombers supplies, and then we could kill some spiders on the way to Golden Mist Village. And I think I might save the Plagued Coast for later, but we can also do Investigate Androth, where we have a lot of undead there, but we're just going to leave that for now. Where we do have level scaling right now, so we can see all the creatures around us are leveling up with us, which is kind of a controversial like implementation to World of Warcraft. And when it comes to World of Warcraft Classic, I don't like it at all. And like vanilla, I would not want level scaling, because I think the way leveling works in vanilla is like fantastic as it is, but in retail World of Warcraft I really like it a lot, and I think it was pretty important for the game to have level scaling with how it evolved up to like the max tier or whatever the current expansions levels. So I think it was a great implementation, where that combined with time walking is just like fantastic, and actually makes me enjoy retail World of Warcraft a little bit more. But I got those supplies, and let's go ahead and come over here, where I guess we could go do the Investigate Androth quest first. But there are some spiders around here, where I just love looking around this entire area, and like the Ghostlands are definitely very spooky and mysterious and creepy and scary, with all these trees that have like no leaves on them, and they have these like green blobs here and there that are like plagued, and then the grass all around here is like kind of like a dark purpley, dark green, dark blue vibe, and the sky is all dark, and the moon is like permanently out and whatnot. It's just a really, really cool vibe for a zone. It kind of fits into Terrasfall Glades, where Terrasfall Glades is like very dark and spooky and whatnot. But I think Terrasfall Glades has a very good dark and spooky human vibe, where, oh, these are not spiders we need to fight at all, or maybe they are, I'm not sure. Let's kill this one. Where Terrasfall Glades is like very dark and spooky vibes with like human accents, where I think this zone does a really good job at having dark and spooky vibes for elven accents. And I think it's just like a really cool implementation of that idea, and it's cool to see like the difference between like Terrasfall Glades and the Ghostlands, because they are basically doing the same thing but are approaching it from a different angle. Where Terrasfall Glades is probably one of the most popular zones in World of Warcraft, and Ghostlands equally so, also very popular, where Eversong Woods is of course a zone that is very popular as well. But it looks like for our spider quest of Culinary Crunch, where we need to get 5 crunchy spider legs, it definitely seems to be a little bit of a rarer drop. So I might go ahead and just fight spiders here and there as we pass by them. But for now, let's go ahead and leave the spiders there and come into this area, where we have some Night Elf Sentinels, which in episode 1 of this Let's Play series, I believe, we dealt with some Night Elf Sentinels at the West Sanctum in Eversong Woods, I believe is the location, where we saw some of the spies around here, including a dwarven spy that was working with the Night Elves. But we can see another group of Sentinels here, where, oh, that's not what I meant to do, Investigate Androth, where they have set up a camp near a High Elf ley line and nexus. So they are definitely doing something mysterious in this map, where it seems like we are hostile towards the Alliance, and that is just going to continue on in the future, where we become more and more hostile. Where I think Lorthamar Thrawn and like Tyrande Whisperwind have a very interesting relationship, where they kind of respect each other, but they also like really hate each other. Where for this quest we successfully investigated the area, so for now we just have to kill some sentinels. And I always found these quests interesting because when I originally started playing World of Warcraft, when I was like 7 or 8 years old in like 2008, the first character that I created was a Night Elf warrior, and then my like original like big main character that I got like super into the game with was a Night Elf Death Knight. So I always had like a fond like relationship with the Night Elves as a whole, and to this day I really love playing as a Night Elf, where I found it really weird back in the day, and I still find it a little weird nowadays when I come through this zone and I kill a bunch of Night Elves, because it kind of feels against who I am as a person, because I love Night Elves so much, and it like felt weird to like basically be killing like my people, it kind of felt like. But of course we are playing a different storyline from a different perspective, where the Blood Elves and the Night Elves are hostile towards each other, where that's kind of just been a thing throughout the history of the Warcraft universe. There's a Sentinel leader there, where the Night Elves and the Blood Elves do have a very long history with each other, and the Night Elves are naturally not really trusting of the Blood Elves because of their usage of magic, which of course split Night Elven society apart, where the Highborn became the High Elves and they fled Quel'Thalas, where of course the High Elves became the Blood Elves at the end of Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne expansion. Where I'm not sure if this leader drops a quest or anything. I don't have like an add-on like questy that like shows as many like quest drops as you get with the default questing UI in Retail WoW, where I don't really care about completing every single quest. If I miss like a specific drop somewhere, it's okay, but it looks like this person did not give a drop. But we just need to kill 2 more Sentinel spies. So we have this spy right here, and then we should maybe come up with an escape plan, where I do like these camps because of these tents, and they have like the moon totem sigil thingy, and then we have this like laid line nexus right here, which is very cool looking. And it's kind of cool to see Eversong Woods in the background as well, where you can see the burnt forest a little bit over there, and then we also have a runestone and another runestone over there. Where let's go ahead and come down here and see if we can find any more spiders right here, where we did just clear out this entire area, and I don't see any respawn. Oh, there's one right there, so maybe they're just like starting to respawn now, because I think this was like the first one I killed right around this area. But we do have Golden Mist Village right over there, which is very similar to Suncrown Village, which we explored over on the eastern side. But this is an area that I'm actually very interested in seeing in Retail WoW, because it was a very interesting area in Vanilla, or in the Burning Crusade originally, where we have a cool smaller tree right here. But let's cross this bridge, and I'm really hoping it's what I remember, and it is indeed what I remember, where we see these high elf spirits right here, which look very similar to Night Elves, because they are Night Elf models. Because in Vanilla World of Warcraft, we had High Elves and Blood Elves in the game, where there were characters that were High Elves and Blood Elves, but they were just Night Elf models, and instead of having purple skin, they had like pale skin instead. Where they always looked kind of weird and like interesting and like a little random and a little out of place, but they looked really cool, just from like a perspective of nostalgia, I suppose. But I do actually really like how these models look, where I think a lot of people who really care about like modern updated graphics do not like these models at all. But there's just something about them that I love so much. But of course we see in Vanilla World of Warcraft, we have these models that are present in the game, where I don't think there's too many high elf or blood elf ghosts, where these are just like more illusionary versions of those original high elf models. But with the Burning Crusade expansion, we saw the introduction of the Blood Elves to the game, where they went around the world and they updated all of the different high elf and blood elf models in the game to have updated blood elf models and a new high elf version of blood elf models, which is basically just having like blue eyes instead of red eyes. But we see those models updated. But then around the world, we see some models here and there that keep the older version of the model, which I actually really like a lot, because it adds like a flavor of a variety that I think is very cool to see. Where I just love how these high elves look different than the other high elves we see in the game that have the updated models with the Burning Crusade. And I always find it really cool to like come to like this area specifically where we fight a bunch of them, and to see this old model, where it's fun to play through like vanilla World of Warcraft and look at the older high elf and blood elf models. But of course, you know, overall and across the board, I really appreciate how the newer models look, and I think they're like a fantastic implementation and like fantastic addition to the game. Right, let's go ahead and check out our talent tree, because we have 2 new talents that we need to pick up, where I think I might want to get Demonic Gateway, or Gateway. Oh, we need to spend 4 more talents first. So let's just increase maybe Demonic Inspiration to increase our pet's damage, and then we could come over here and let's get Inner Demons, where we will summon Wild Imps, and then we can finally use Implosion. We're speaking of imps, let's go ahead and come back here and come to our spell book, and we got a new, oh, we have a few new things. Let's go ahead and throw this on our skill bar, I'll look at that in a second. But we have a new summon demon ability, 2 new summon demon abilities actually. So we have Syad, where we can summon in a succubus or an incubus, and then we can summon a Felguard. So, oh, we have 2 wild imps with us right now, that's cool. Let's go ahead and summon a Syad, where we did not have an option to pick which one we wanted. So we got a succubus. And a very fun thing that I actually found out very recently is that they changed the demon models in World of Warcraft to be smaller when you are a lower level, and then to be bigger when you are a higher level, which I didn't fully notice with our Voidwalker, but I've noticed it here with the Syad known as Selnus, where she's basically capable of stunning enemies and like reducing their movement speed and like other things like that. So it's like a really good minion to have when you are in like a PvP game mode, because it helps you like control other players. I might be nice here and there, but typically I don't really like having a succubus or an incubus or a Syad or whatever, where I prefer Voidwalker, and honestly I prefer Imp, but ultimately I really like Felguard, where let's go ahead and kill this ghost really quickly. I'm just killing a bunch of like random enemies right now. I finished, so we can go ahead and fight some spiders then. Let's go ahead and summon this Felguard, where we are going to say goodbye to Selnus, and she will return to the Twisting Nether or whatever. But we just got a Revan Shulkin, who is going to hang out with us now, and he's just a little guy with this little Arcanine Reaper, but he is very similar to a Voidwalker, where he will tank enemies for us basically, but he deals a ton of damage, where he's like a melee brawler basically that can like tank by just like dealing a bunch of damage, I think. So we're going to let him charge in, and we're going to see if he's still cool in Retail World of Warcraft, and I might end up using the Voidwalker if I want the Voidwalker more. But so far I really like what he did against that Mistbat, where he did like a whirlwind ability and he charged in and he held the aggro, which is good for us. So let's use our Implosion ability, which is really cool. So we had 2 imps there and had the 2 on the ability, so we just like clicked it and the imps charged in and exploded on the enemy, which is good for us and just dealt like some extra damage. Where I think the wild imp yeah, they do cast a Fell Firebolt, which does a little bit of damage, and as we have like a lot of imps that deal like more and more damage, where it currently seems like we can have 2 imps with us. Not entirely sure, but I'm not entirely sure how we can get more in the future, but I'm sure there's probably some ability to get more in the future. Where we do have the talent to get like the Imp Gang Lord or whatever it was called, so that might be something cool we see happen in the future. Where I do need a few more of these crunchy, oh, I need crunchy spider legs. I don't know why I was killing some bats. Come back here, let's fight the spindleweb spider. But kind of like the same idea as before, where we can kill some of these spiders. Oh, I accidentally attacked the bat there. But we can kill some of these spiders. Oh, there's an Imp Gang boss there. I kind of missed it. For 3rd time's the charm. As we kill some of these spiders, let's go ahead and run down here, where we can go ahead and get some of this crystallized mana essence, and then maybe we can run over to the Dead Scar, and then we can run back to Tranquillian and turn in all the quests that we currently have. Because as we turn in all of these, we should get some more to go to other places around the world, which is going to be good for us. Now let's go ahead and start attacking some mana shifters and arcane devourers. So kind of a similar arcane mana storyline as we have been exploring throughout Eversong Woods, and as we'll continue to see a couple more times here and there. Where I do have the Plagued Murloc Spine and the Blackpaw Gnolls, and I need to keep a lookout for these 2 enemies to kill them at some point. But of course, we're probably going to be in the Ghostlands for a couple more episodes at least after this, because there is a lot of stuff to do here. Where I feel like there's a quest in here that we need to return to in the future. Like we have to commune with something in here. So we might be wasting our time a little bit right now, but for anyone who remembers my Draenei Warrior Let's Play series, I returned to the same location to do 3 different quests and 3 different episodes, so, you know, I'm not being super efficient right now with all of this. But we can really have a lot of demons, where we have our Fulguard, 2 Wild Imps, and now we have 2 Dreadstalkers, so we have a grand total of 5 demons right now working alongside with us, killing some of these creatures. Where I do have this other demon here, this Eye of Kilrog, which we can summon an Eye of Kilrog and bind our vision to it, where the eye is stealthed and moves quickly but is very fragile. Where this is a really fun ability that is ultimately not like super useful in a lot of applications, but it's just really fun from like a role-playing perspective, and is pretty fun in like player versus player. Where we summon this eye, and we currently control this eye, and we can just run around and we can scout locations, or maybe we want to see what's inside of a cave, we can kind of get a look at the cave. Or if we want to like scout enemy movements in like a player versus player battleground, we can do that as well. And it's kind of just like a fun little mechanic that is available for warlocks, and it's actually really fun to see it's still in the game, because I feel like it might have been removed at some point, but maybe it wasn't, not entirely sure. But I do think I'm going to get rid of the Voidwalker, the Imp, and the Syad, because I really like the Fulguard, and we can take a look at any future minions we get, but I want to keep these 3 here for now. Where I do have this, I could maybe throw it down there, and we just have a lot of abilities, and I'm probably not going to remember any of these abilities at all, but that's okay. Where we are now back in the Dead Scar, and we can look down the Dead Scar and see a very intimidating looking Scourge Fortress all the way down there. And it is a very, very, very cool fortress, and it's fun that we can see it from here, because this is going to be the final area that we explore in this map as we interact with a lot of Scourge there. Where I just got a Rotting Heart, and I think we want to hold on to that because it is going to be useful for a future quest. And I think there's another item we get from like skeletons, which I think there's some down there and then some up there, but we don't currently have the quest for it just yet. But it's going to be good for us to hold on to this Rotting Heart, because we are going to need it for a future quest. We're just fighting some normal undead lieutenants, but they are definitely stronger than the ones we fought all the way up here in Eversong Woods at a couple of areas in the Dead Scar. And we're just working our way down the Dead Scar slowly but surely from Silvermoon City to this Scourge stronghold that we will soon explore. And it's kind of just fun to like progress through the two zones and have something that's like the same in both zones that like continues from one zone into the other, and we fight like more and more powerful enemies and just work our way towards the most powerful enemy, the final boss in Quathlos for the starting experience for the Blood Elves. A very cool boss where we need 3 more Risen Hungers. Oh, there's Luzran. Okay. What should we do? What should we do? We do have these Ziggurat's here, where there's 2 Ziggurat's on either side of the Dead Scar right here. And we have Luzran, who belongs to this one, and Nukarot to the other one, where I just went in. What am I doing? Let's summon our Dreadstalkers. And it looks like he is actually pretty easy to defeat. So let's go ahead and use our Shadow Bolt ability. Where is he going? Did he knock back our Felguard or something? But our Felguard is taking quite a bit of damage, but that's a good thing because he's taking the damage and we were successfully able to kill Luzran. And now we have Luzran's head. Alright, let's go ahead and run back down here, where we need to keep an eye out for Knucklerot, who wanders around different areas than Luzran does. But we are now half complete with that quest, so that's pretty good. And it's good to know that we were easily able to defeat that elite enemy, where this is actually a pretty like powerful class, I feel like, for like solo leveling, because you can have like a very strong minion that basically like tanks everything for you. It's kind of similar to playing like a hunter, but you have a lot of utility options where you get like soul stone and health stone, and you can summon like a ton of minions with the demonology spec, and then we can like, you know, give our minion life and heal him pretty easily. We just need to kill 1 more ghoul here, and there we go, so we can loot that. And it was too far away to loot this one at the same time, so let's go ahead and loot him. And now we have, it looks like 5 quests to turn in at Tranquillian. So let's go ahead and run back this way and see what quests we get in the future. Where I do still need to get a bunch of spider legs, but maybe I'll complete that in the last episode. Where let's go ahead and just run back up towards the main town here, where we can see some of the decorations outside, where there's like an old ruined camp right there, where there's like some Scourge stuff inside of it. And we can see a similar thing over there, where there's like a fallen log, and we can run up this way to see these ruined tents, where I really love the statue of these 2, I guess it would be high elves right here, and they are very cool looking. But let's go ahead, turn in this quest down the Dead Scar, and we might get a new quest. No, we will not. Let's go ahead and turn in this quest for the mana essence, and that is the end of that quest. Let's come over here, go ahead and turn that in, where we can now go ahead and get plans from this occupied territory over here, where we are now level 20, so we got a new talent point. And I think we like officially unlock our new mount, but we were already able to ride it. But now we can go ahead and go over towards Windrunner Village, which is a very cool location, and will be something we do in the future. But we have Arathis here, very similar to Athos, where let's go ahead and turn in that. And we are now honored with Tranquillian, where let's go ahead and run up here first, where we do have this Rotting Hearts quest, where we currently have 3 Rotting Hearts, so that's going to be beneficial for us. But we also can get Spinal Dust, so let's go ahead and just pick up both of those quests. And then I want to find the Reputation vendor, which is right here, where first I'm just going to take a quick moment. That was very easy there. But let's just go through some of this stuff and sell some of it. And I might just honestly just sell all of that. And then we have some different things down here that we could use if we wanted to. Condensed mana powder over crystallized mana residue. but we can buy apprentice boots, and then we can look towards becoming, oh, we can buy this waste item for being honored, but we can look towards being exalted to buy this cape, and then we can look towards being revered to buy this robe that is not better than what we currently have equipped. But we do have 2 upgrades here, and this is probably going to be the end of our upgrades from this vendor. Let's go ahead and sell these 2 items here. And now I think I'm going to go ahead and kill a few spiders, and let's go ahead and complete the Plagued Coast and into occupied territory to finish up this episode, I think. Right, let's go ahead and kill one Dreadbone skeleton, where he has an updated model from what I remember. But let's just go ahead and kill one just so we can say we killed one of the skeletons up here, and we got a Spinal Dust, so it worked out well for us. I'm going to go ahead and move that up there. And I should maybe use Golden Mist Special Brew. It increases our health by a single point. So we went from 1,248 health to 1,249, which is not really useful, but I think that's just how a lot of stuff from older expansions are scaled to basically make them useless, where it was pretty nice to level with it back in the day. But there's a ton of spiders that have respawned here, so let's see how many of these legs we can get. Where I sold the legs, didn't I? Somebody's probably been screaming at me for the last 3 minutes. So let's run back really quickly and hope I can buy it back, and hope I didn't sell too many things in the process. Where you can also sell the Spinal Dust and this Rotting Heart, so you have to be careful to not do that. But we have a new Warlock talent tree here. Let's go use a Demonic Circle Teleport, or your Demonic Gateway reduces all damage you take by 4% for 10 seconds. Abyss Walker, so I feel like that's a nice talent to have. But we have that now, where we need to maybe increase our stamina by 10. That might be really nice in order to like be more powerful against other enemies. But oh, we have another quest over there, but let's return to, it could be any vendor, but let's return to this vendor specifically. And let's hope I can buy back these 2 crunchy spider legs. So I'm now at 3 out of 5. Okay, I saved the day. Anyway, let's run to the High Executor really quickly, where we can go ahead and kill some Deathholm Acolytes and Fallen Rangers at Windrunner Spire, where we have Windrunner Village and Windrunner Spire, which are 2 very cool areas with a very cool name, which I'll talk about when we get over there. But I'm just going to run back this way. There's 1 crunchy spider leg for us, where we only need 1 more, so we're actually pretty close to completing this quest. So we could kill this spider here, and then I could run back there really quickly maybe. And up, I didn't have to use Implosion, but they did not run, and we got our last crunchy spider leg. So at the end there, we killed 3 spiders and got 3 crunchy spider legs in a row, which is very, very nice. But let's go ahead and run over towards the coast here, where we can see a Night Elf boat and some big Night Elf structures right there, which is very, very interesting to see. Where we have this mist bat that I'm going to avoid, and we can see like some old like little hut right there, and then we can see Windrunner Village off in the distance. But over here there's another mist bat, and we have these like ruined docks. And let's go ahead and click on this quest, where we have these withered Grimscale, and we have some zombified Grimscales as well. So in Eversong Woods, we fought a lot of Murlocs on the western coast of this area, and they were normal Murlocs, but now we are fighting undead Murlocs, where that just makes sense for the Ghostlands. And we can also see this dead carcass of some giant sea animal over there in the distance, which also makes sense for the Ghostlands. But let's go ahead, swim across to this island, where I have some fond memories of this place, kind of just like looping back around to what I was talking about over here at this Night Elf camp right here. Is it Androth? But we have Shalonda's Isle, where I remember just spending a lot of time here and thinking about the fact that we are killing Night Elves, where we are now fighting Darnassian druids and Darnassian huntresses. So just like, you know, full-on Darnassians, where I kind of made the connection of Darnassus, and then, you know, I learned at one point that they're Darnassian because they're from Darnassus, and, you know, I was growing up at the time. But we have a chest right here, where I always found these buildings cool because we have, like, this like tree structure building house right here that has this door on it, and I always thought it would be cool if you could like open the door and go inside, but of course you cannot. But we have, I thought there was one right here, I guess it's further this way, where there's a moon wheel here, and then we need to kill a bunch of these night elves, and then to get all of the night elf plans, where there's night elf plan for Androth, Anowin, and Scrying on the Sindori, the Blood Elves. Where there's like some charming music playing right now, but I don't think you can really hear it at all. This druid is casting Healing Touch, but not too much of an issue for us. Where I do think we're kind of reaching that level where the scaling gets a little weird, and I think we're going to be less and less powerful now, but maybe we'll become more powerful in the future as well. Let's kill this druid quickly. There we go. He did not heal that time. But here's one of the plans, and then another plan's on the table here. Let's go ahead and use Implosion, where that's cool. It's kind of fun to just see them charging in, where he's like at half health and already channeling his Healing Touch.
I need a target.
I do think we have some silences somewhere. We could use Fear to interrupt it, but that's probably not super worth it. Or let's go ahead and fight around this way really quickly. I guess I could use that, send them in. I'm not sure if it's more worth it to just launch your imps off cooldown, or if it's better to have them like casting a bit. And if it's better to have 2 and then use it, or 1 and then use it, or what. But ultimately you should probably just do whatever you find most fun until you get to some in-game content. Where we do have this boat here, where I really like this bridge to get onto the boat. And I can see off in the distance, it looks like there's the reflection of land in the water there. I'm not entirely sure. But let's go ahead, loot this, and then we need to come up here, I believe, where we have a few huntresses, and then the plans to scry on the Sindori. There's nobody flanking us just... Oh, this huntress is running across the rope there. Let's go ahead and deal with this huntress, where there are quite a few of them here. Does this do AoE damage? I'm not entirely sure if it does do AoE damage. To all enemies within 8 yards. Okay, now this huntress ran on the other rope there, and this one runs down here. Let's go ahead and loot this. Maybe we're in range of all 3. And we are. So we don't have to run on the rope, but it might be fun to just do that. And let's jump back. And we have this huntress here where I am taking quite a bit of damage. Let's use our drain life to heal up a little bit, which is good for us. Let's use it again. We can probably get to max health and kill this huntress in the process, which is very nice. And let's grab these plans. We're doing a little bit of like pirate activity, basically jumping along these ropes, stealing some treasure from this boat, and then escaping. But we have completed this quest, so we are good for that. And now we just need to kill a bunch of murlocs. And if I'm willing to guess, we are probably going to have to spend a decent amount of time killing a bunch of these murlocs. So let's go ahead and run right back over here and let's send in our minions. Let's go ahead and launch some shadow bolts. Where ultimately it did not take me too long to get 5 plagued murloc spines, and now we only need 1 more in order to complete this quest, and I'll return to town afterwards. Where there we go, but we are getting attacked by this murloc. So let's run this way, send in our imp there, the imp gang boss, and we got our proc here. And let's go ahead and just finish off with a shadow bolt. And then our Hearthstone is indeed off cooldown as I predicted, so let's go ahead and use our Hearthstone to return to Tranquillian, where we have 3 quests to turn in. So we might end up reaching level 21, which should be exciting. Where let's go ahead and run out this way, and we have the chef right here who we can chat with. Let's go ahead and get this cooking recipe for crunchy spider surprise, and then of course let's run over here really quickly, where this is the guy who wanted the plagued murloc spines. You can go ahead and complete this quest where we get this cloak, which is an upgrade for us. Let's go ahead and equip that. Where is this going to be a downgrade from this, where it is indeed a pretty major downgrade. So let's go ahead and run over here where we can turn in the quest related to the Night Elves, to the Dame here,
The dark times will
where
pass.
we now know of the other leyline nexus,
Farewell.
which is located right over here, so we can deliver the plans to Antelas and learn more about all of that. Wish we might do this, and we might go to the Farstrider Enclave next episode, where we just learned how to subjugate a demon. So it subjugates the target demon up to level 22, forcing it to do your bidding for 10 minutes, which is actually pretty fun, so we can make any demon our demon minion for a little bit. Where we got a new talent point here, where Implosion deals 10% increased damage, consuming Demonic Core has a chance to summon a Wild Imp. I don't entirely know what Demonic Core is, but let's go ahead and apply that. And we now have all of this, where we can teach our Felguard the following ability, Soul Strike. Strikes into the soul of the enemy, dealing 65 shadow damage, which might be a fun ability to get next. Where this looks really fun, tear open a portal to the nether above the target location, from which several Bile Scourge will pour out of and crash into the ground over 6 seconds, dealing 31 shadow damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Or we can infuse our Felguard with Demonic Strength and command it to charge your enemy and unleash a Fellstorm that will deal 300% increased damage. So just 2 cool abilities there. But let's go ahead and maybe save this recipe. We can save the swim speed, and I'll just go ahead and sell everything else, or maybe I'll save that too, and I'll throw that down here, and I'll throw that up there, where we are a little tight on inventory space, but that is okay. Where we have completed a bunch of quests here, and we can go ahead and complete a bunch more next episode, where I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode of my Blood Elf Warlock Let's Play series, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the world of Azeroth. Goodbye.